Hello viewers, welcome to our lecture series on marketing management, and in this very series we have been talking about the concept of prosumers and the way they are contributing to the 21st century marketing. So till now we have discussed about the different aspects of the concept of prosumers, presumption, and we have also discussed about the kind of literature we are having in the body of knowledge when we talk about the concept of prosumers from the academia point of view. And in that very discussion, in that very series of our discussion and deliberation, we have been talking about the key examples of prosumers in India, and I gave you some of the examples like households, Indian households having the solar rooftops at their home, and they are generating power for their own consumption, not only for their own consumption, but they are also contributing to the grid, generating some revenue, getting some credits for the extra electricity what they have generated. So there has been a concept of net metering participants, and I would now be extending my discussion from there only, from that point only, that what are the key examples of prosumers in India. So when we talk about the rural households, I would give you a very popular example here, that under the initiatives by the government of India in the name of Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana, that is also known as DDUGJY. Under that scheme, the rural residents, they are using solar home systems for their personal lighting, and they are exporting excess power, transitioning from passive consumers to active energy partners. So imagine about those rural households, rural residents who were actually earlier facing the crisis of electricity, and they were actually, I would say that they were craving for having that electricity supply into their homes, and now they have become the generator of that particular electricity. So imagine that this is a kind of transition from passive consumers to now the active energy partners. So thanks to this solar home systems which have made this possible, that they are not only generating electricity for their own consumption, but they have also become the active generator of that power, and they are transferring or forwarding it to the grid, gaining some benefit out of it. So this is another very popular example in Indian scenario. Now there is a concept of community or microgrid prosumers in the field of electricity, and you would find, as I told you, that in the field of energy it is very much prevalent. There is a new concept of community or microgrid prosumers, like housing societies nowadays. So cooperative housing societies, you would find their presence to be to be very much prevalent in metropolitan cities, or I would say that in urban areas you would find the presence of these housing societies. So cooperative housing societies in urban India, they are actually installing shared solar projects, and they are allowing individual residents to benefit from self generated energy, and it is actually fostering a collaborative approach to sustainability. Some of the educational institutions in Delhi and NCR, you would find that they have actually installed the solar panels. Even in the university from where I come from, that is University of Delhi, we have that system of installing solar rooftops, and we are generating our electricity for our own consumption and reducing the financial burden on the institution. So these housing societies, they are actually believing into community or microgrid prosumers. There is a peer-to-peer trading also through platforms like Yogrid. There is a platform called Yogrid. The residential prosumers in Delhi, they under BSES or TPDDL, that is Tata Power Supply and BSES, you can directly sell surplus power to your neighbors rather than just the utility company. So Yogrid is very much popular, and thanks to the concept of prosumers, that it is now very much possible into this very sector. Now what is the positive side? So if you look at the data as of 2026, that is the current year, India's rooftop solar capacity, it has expanded significantly, and it is driven by these active prosumer participants, with over 75% of installations attributed to commercial and industrial entities, but residential participation is actually growing very rapidly nowadays. So you can imagine the contribution of this very concept of prosumers, that more than 75% of installations attributed to they are attributed to commercial and industrial entities, and residential households, they are also catching up very in a very speedy manner, or rampantly I would say that they are increasing. So this is a positive side of this very concept of prosumers, if we take an example of energy industry. And if you look at the Indian fashion industry, there also you would find that these prosumers who are actively participating in the design, promotion or production of clothing, and they are actually blurring the lines between the creation and consumption. If you ask me about the examples of it, I would say that they include sustainable brands like Okhai, OKHAI, where artisans, they are actually co-creating designs, and there is also another company called Doodlage. Doodlage is actually looking or working towards the upcycling waste. So imagine that this concept is catching up so rampantly that that lot of companies, they are joining this entire campaign. And LimeRoad, it actually LimeRoad users creating digital scrapbooks, and fashion influencers on social media, they are shaping product demand through user generated contents. So my dear learners, even the Indian film industry, they are not devoid of it. The prosumers, individuals who are both consumers and producers of content, they have become central to marketing. They have become central to content creation. They have become central to distribution, and it is largely driven by the digital platforms and social media. So even if you look at the film reviews and reviewers and reactors, the creators on YouTube and Instagram, that is the reviewers and covering the new releases, they are actually shaping the public opinion. They are actually contributing towards the opinion formation by the general public, and their reactions to trailers or song, they contribute to the pre-release buzz. So a kind of buzz marketing, where the users, or you can say the consumers, they have started contributing towards the promotion of that particular movie, that particular part of release, where they can contribute positively to its promotion. So these content creators, even content creators, individuals who are creating reaction videos, memes, or parodies of popular scenes, they are acting as both consumers of the movie and also the creator of that particular marketing content. So in this way, those consumers who have actually earlier been the passive users or consumers, they have started actively contributing to this entire process. But these were the opportunities. I would not say that this entire concept of presumption is devoid of any challenges. The road towards this 21st century marketing trend, that is called presumption, is actually full of challenges, and marketers, they are very much working on overcoming those challenges, because the benefits or the opportunities which are originating from this very concept is of immense benefit. That is why it is worth working on overcoming the challenges. So the rapid expansion and development of prosumers, they also introduce some uncertainties, what you call as challenges, because there are certain uncertainties and we have to work with them. So how to overcome these challenges? Unless we know these challenges, we cannot work on overcoming them. So the first and the foremost challenge I would rate here is the initial cost and technological adoption. So the initial cost is very high, and of course people are not that open to the technological adoption, or I would say innovation adoption. So as we all know that Roser has already given the innovation diffusion model, where only 2.5% of the total consumers can be rated as innovators. And additionally, if we add 13.5%, they are called as early adopters. So if you look at the total chunk of innovators and early adopters, it only becomes 16%. So out of the total audience, only 16% are the one who can be called as the innovators or early adopters. Rest of them, they are either early majority, late majority, and laggards. So we have to understand that how to take care of this initial cost which is very high. So, setting up the necessary infrastructure to participate in this entire prosumer activities. For instance, if you are going for a blockchain based market or a renewable energy system, all this is going to involve significant initial cost and investment. So, either you, if I take example of two industries, one is the energy where we are talking about the setting up of solar rooftops. Of course, the initial investment is on the higher side, initial costing is there, and we can with the increased communication about how to recover that cost which is one time cost which you are incurring. If people are increasingly made aware of it, of course their number is going to increase exponentially. So, we have to ensure the exponential increase in the number of people who join this entire mission of being a prosumer. So, we have to understand that this blockchain based markets, or even if we talk about the renewable energy systems, it actually involves significant initial cost and investment, and this financial barrier can be a big deterrent for many potential prosumers. So, the first challenge is of course the initial cost and technological adoption, the rate of technological adoption. And moreover, if we go ahead of this cost, I would say the complexity of these advanced technologies, they do require a very high level of proficiency in technical field. You need to be technically proficient, and of course, and you should keep on updating yourself, otherwise it can become a hindrance in the development and widespread adoption of prosumer systems. It's not that simple, it's not that easy. So, you need to stay updated, and that is why the number of people who are joining this entire concept of presumption is not that high as it is supposed to be. So, here the technological adoption rate of technological adoption is another deterrent which is on the way as a challenge. The third challenge is regulatory issues and uncertainty. The legal and regulatory landscape for prosumer activities is often very much unclear. Why it is unclear? Because we do not have any specific legislation for it, because in case of any dispute, how to settle it? Of course, they have to go under the present or existing legal system only. So the prosumer activities, the regulatory landscape for prosumer activities is of course very much unclear and inconsistent, and it is varying widely across different jurisdictions. So, it is different in under different jurisdictions. For instance, if I talk about the regulatory status of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin mining activities, they can create uncertainty and potential legal risk for prosumers across the globe. The rules and regulations for Bitcoin mining are not the same. In every country, you would find that there are certain differences in terms of its regulatory status, in terms of honoring that particular framework of the entire Bitcoin mining process. So every country is having its own legal framework, and these regulatory issues and uncertainties involved into that, they are making it more and more complex, and there is a potential legal risk also for prosumers. So, we have to understand in whichever country we are actually performing or working or acting, we should be aware of that particular law of land, because ignorance of law has no excuse. So, you can't say that I was ignorant and as a consumer I started contributing to that. So, unless you are expert into that, unless you are clear and confident about the existing rules and regulations, you should avoid entering into this very work of the concept of prosumers. So, regulatory issues and uncertainties are another challenges which are there in with us, and the regulatory ambiguity can make it more and more challenging for prosumers to navigate compliance requirements, and it can limit their influence compared to the larger corporations. Of course, their impact is going to get affected. Now, apart from this, there are certain marketing challenges also, because since we are relating it to 21st century marketing, we are considering this to be a new concept in 21st century marketing, then of course we have to understand that the Kotler has highlighted several key marketing challenges which are faced by prosumers. Like for instance, you have to maintain brand loyalty. It is particularly difficult in a market dominated by prosumers with diverse preferences. How to maintain the brand loyalty in a market where the entire market is dominated by prosumers with diversified preferences. Every customer is having a different preference. So, the increased competition among prosumers further complicates the marketing landscape. So, imagine that there is a competition, there is a cutthroat competition, the increasing competition among prosumers, because prosumers, they are also competing with each other. Their preferences are diversified. So, the biggest challenge is how to bring all those prosumers who are actively working for co-creating a particular brand on same page, on one page. That is something which is very important, and bringing all of them on one page is of course a very challenging task. That itself is a very challenging task. Engaging prosumers in co-creation process can be complex due to varied and sometimes conflicting inputs. Sometimes one input you consider to be good, but another one is contradictory to the first one. So, these conflicting inputs, how to go for incorporating them in such a way that there is no unrest among the prosumers. It should not be like that you wanted to co-create a brand, you wanted to take the inputs, and in that process you created a consumer prosumer who has actually gone for speaking negative about a particular brand or a particular marketer. Then of course this entire concept, the purpose of incorporating this entire mission into your marketing campaign is going to be defeated. So, these challenges, they actually necessitate companies to adopt more flexible and adaptive marketing and what you call as the entire marketing strategy. So, your marketing strategy should not only be flexible, but it should also be adaptive, because you have to eventually do what? You have to effectively manage prosumer relationships and expectations. So, on one hand you have a relationship with them, and when they are maintaining a relationship with your brand, of course it is not devoid of expectations. They are joining this mission with some expectations of creating a brand which should be creating a product which should be better than its previous version, and they want that their suggestions, their inputs must be honored, it must be inculcated, it must be incorporated. So, the diverse and fragmented nature of prosumer market, it can eventually lead to inconsistent customer experiences, and it can dilute your brand identity. So, in the future development of prosumers and current what you call as current capitalist frameworks, the what should be the appropriate strategy? The appropriate regulatory changes and market operation adjustments, they are very much needed to ensure that your prosumers can fully realize their potential. You should, they must be able to realize their potential, and that is something which is very important. And the question comes, how to address these marketing challenges? Because other challenges, of course, suppose if the initial cost is high, you can provide them some installment facility, you can provide them some training, you can offer them some kind of orientation sessions where your consumers on their journey towards becoming a prosumer can gain some insight. But how to address the marketing challenges, this is something which is very significant. So, addressing these challenges, they require a multifaceted approach. What to do? You have to have your supportive policies. As I told you, your strategy need to be very flexible, and in that very process your policies must be very supportive towards whatever inputs you are having. You should have a proper framework to address them, to take care of them, and to incorporate them into your production process and into your service delivery mechanism. there has to be technological advancements, because of course it is because of technology this very concept is possible, this very concept of prosumption is possible. So you need to take care of technological advancements, and of course the last one is community initiatives to foster a more inclusive and sustainable prosumer environment. So addressing marketing challenge is of course not that easy, but I would say it is not even impossible. It is very much possible, provided you are open to incorporating those changes into your marketing strategies, because you are on a mission to incorporate, to have a new partner into your business who is going to help you in creating, rebuilding, reincarnating your brand, your product, your service process. So once we are going for recrafting, reinventing our own processes, then of course the entire process is going to be re-engineered. So accordingly you should be open to those changes when it comes to incorporating the ideas of prosumers. Now there are certain specific applications of prosumers. I told you that there is an energy market where they are very much used. Then comes after energy, it comes to be the second very sector, and I would give you an example of the energy market from Germany. So in Germany, prosumers, they install solar panels on their rooftops, because you must be thinking that I have given you example of India only. So there is a global example also from Germany, where prosumers, they install solar panels on their rooftops, they are generating electricity for personal use, and they are also feeding excess power back into the grid. So this practice not only reduces reliance on fossil fuels, but also poses challenges such as grid stability and the need for advanced energy storage solution. So even globally they are very much into the practice. But then another sector where it is very much popular is the healthcare. Now you must be thinking, in healthcare industry, how can these prosumers contribute? So it is very much there. The prosumer model in healthcare industry significantly empowers and engages patients. They are enabling them to take an active role in managing their health through digital tools. For instance, you are having a wearable devices or trackers, mobile health apps, and online communities. So these are the ways where you can actually take care or contribute towards the healthcare industry as a prosumer. So this active participation allows patients to monitor their health, access their medical information, and communicate with the peers and professionals in real time, leading to a better informed decisions and improved health outcomes. Eventually, what is our objective? Our objective is to ensure that there has to be an improved health outcomes. So whatever procedure, whatever process, whatever medications we are going through, our ultimate goal is to come out of the problem which we have started facing, and it is very much possible with the help of the active participation of the patients even. And there also this concept of prosumer is very much prevalent. So these prosumers in healthcare industry, they are contributing to preventive and predictive health by using digital tools, and while doing so they are engaging in proactive health management. They are leveraging data to detect early signs of health issues. So once a person is able to detect it timely, then of course we always say prevention is always better than cure. So you are leveraging data to detect early signs of health issues, and you can very well identify the potential risk. And eventually what happens, the benefit is you are able to reduce chronic disease incidence, and of course the healthcare cost, heavy healthcare cost which is involved into that entire treatment. So even in healthcare industry you will find the role of prosumers. In agriculture, I gave you an example that yes, in agriculture also this presumption involves individuals producing food primarily for their own consumption, blending production and consumption in a self-sustaining manner. So even in agriculture you would find the prevalence of prosumers. In art and craft, I told you that the integration of information and communication technology, it has significantly altered the relationship between the artist and their audiences. Artists nowadays increasingly they are engaging with viewers, audiences and fellow artists to co-produce artworks, breaking away from the traditional model of isolated creation. So some of the, even the poets, they are writing their poetry and they are asking the singers to compose, and they are actually sharing it on social media, and those singers, they can compose it, and it is going very well. So they are providing feedback and contribute to this entire artistic process. So imagine that gone are the days when the poets, they used to write their poetry and forget about it. Nowadays they are very much able to ensure that their poetry, whatever they have written, they should it should reach to its logical end, and there has to be a singer who is able to what you call as compose it for them, and they can make a good coherence, a good production of that particular song. So 3D printing or agriculture, or even if you talk about education, these are the sectors where this concept of prosumption is very much popular. Now you must be thinking that what is the future outlook of the concept of prosumers. I would say that the future outlook for prosumer is very promising. It is driven by technological advancements, supportive regulatory framework, and of course evolving societal attitudes. So although we can say that realizing the full potential of prosumerism, it will actually need addressing various challenges which I had discussed just before, including technological risk, market dynamics, and scalability barriers. But the future, if you ask me about the future outlook of this very concept, it is very much promising. So with the right policies, investments, and community engagement, prosumers, they are there to play a very pivotal role in creating a sustainable, resilient, and inclusive social landscape. So my dear learners, with this I have tried to give you a fair idea of, or detailed idea of, what this concept of prosumption, prosumers is, and the way it is contributing to this entire 21st century marketing. So looking ahead, the future of the prosumer concept is promising, with the several emerging trends poised to shape its trajectory. So my dear learners, with this I am concluding. I hope you must have understood and enjoyed this very topic of 21st century marketing. Thank you so much.